My name is Richard Hammond. I work at Gensler as an architectural designer. Gensler is a architecture firm that has many different practice areas, covers pretty much the entire range of architecture and design. I was born in Zimbabwe in Africa, and I grew up in South Africa, and always making things. So it was always about building forts and creating things out, in the outdoors. So I think my interest in making things, is probably what led me to architecture. I studied architecture at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa. The short form is WITS University. I studied a Bachelor of Architecture degree, which is a 6-year degree. And there we studied pretty much like fine art, very loose art making, as well as geometric drawing. So there's the two very different types of drawing that we were taught, which architecture does encompass, both very free form, idea generating, sketching, but also the geometric side of drawing, where you need to be precise and have it's all about the line technique. I do think the quality of all that early conceptual material has to be of a convincing nature. So I think it has to be something that when people look at it, a layperson or client, that they really appreciate the craft that's gone into making that small object. And I think from there then they get a sense of confidence that you can actually do that on a much bigger scale. So the way that you begin, I think, is a testament to how you will finish. So it's very important, I think, in that early phase to have to really take care in how you create those early diagrams and drawings. The Boy Scout cabin for Catalina Island I worked on, which Gensler did as a pro bono project for the Boy Scout camp on Catalina. And the idea there was to create something that was an educational project, so that the Boy Scouts would learn something about sustainability, and also make it functional. So the concept there was to take shipping containers and convert those into a habitable structure. We have just completed the downtown hotel at LA Live, which really is the key piece to the entire district of downtown LA, which is an entertainment and sports district. The city center in Las Vegas, a similar project, even on a bigger scale, that involved a number of hotels, a shopping center, condominium towers, as well as a transit system, a monorail that linked, and Gensler actually designed the monorail that linked all these pieces together. It has a huge effect because it's unavoidable for people have to interact with architecture. It's different to other art forms where you have to go and take the effort to go and see it, like a painting or a sculpture, whereas in architecture people are forced to go through what you work on. So you're going to have an impact regardless.
I work in the planning and urban design field in the Gensler office, and what we do is we work on larger scale projects, and we work on anything from baseball stadiums to universities to movie studios. We work on pro bono projects, working with the community, and really what we try and do is, from a big picture, is we come up with the big concepts and the big picture and the big moves, and then boiled down from there, we really figure out what works. And then from the community standpoint, we find out what the community needs, what would be a great new asset, what would help the neighborhood really kind of start to thrive and flourish. My first project when I came here that was kind of eye-opening to what Gensler was all about is, I jumped right into a ballpark stadium. You grow up watching baseball and all of a sudden you're designing an entire stadium with this whole community around it. So to kind of jump into that, it was phenomenal, and to have the opportunity to work on a brand new stadium and a community that was going to be sustainable and was kind of a new model for the way stadiums and communities would be built was pretty amazing. What's creative and artistic in planning and urban design is pretty phenomenal, is you actually every day come in the office and you're doing something creative. Whether it's the layouts of a graphic page or whether it's the actual conceptual design of an entire master plan, you really do get to come in and break it down at different scales and have a creative process. Starting with the project is you break out your sketch paper and your trace, and you get your markers and your pens, and you just kind of throw out all your ideas onto the trace, And you know, you've got stacks of trays here and there, and you kind of whittle them down, and you find a bigger idea, and you find one that really kind of is thriving within you, and you run with that. My advice would be to be passionate about what you do. Really find something that you do love doing.